Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Zoobox Goes to the Movies. I'm Shaun, and I'm here with my always faithful co-host, Daniel. Hello, Daniel.
Hello. Hello.
So today we're going to be talking about Quentin Tarantino's latest film, number 9, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And this is the first time you've ever watched this, right? You didn't see it when it came out and stuff?
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to go see it.
Yeah. So I've watched it about probably 3.5 times at this point.
Yeah,
A lot of commitment.
That's definitely a lot of commitment.
So yeah, I guess we'll just jump right into it. So we'll give our initial thoughts and opinions, and then maybe get into some spoilers in the back half.
Absolutely.
So since you just saw it, what are your kind of impressions? What did you think of it?
Well, give me just 1 second, and I'll show you.
Okay. You're gonna get a little theater. A lot of dead air.
Well, I tell you that was one of the best goddamn movies I ever fucking seen in my life. Alright?
Whoa, oh my goodness, we have the star, Rick Dalton.
Yeah. Yes, here, live in person, ready to entertain. Can't put the headphones on and the hat at the same time, but
That's the struggle, you know?
yeah, it's definitely one of them things. No, but it was good, man. I enjoyed it. You know?
Did you think it was one of the best movies you'd ever seen?
Yeah, no, it was. I wouldn't say like ever seen, but it's a good Tarantino flick. I enjoy his movies a lot. So,
well, relative to Tarantino, where do you think this one ranks for him? Like relative to his 9 movies.
This is middle of the pack.
You think it's middle of the pack? Yeah,
Probably like 5, maybe.
Well, what's your?
I don't know.
For comparison, what do you think? You're just off the top of your head. Django, your favorite? Yeah.
Yeah, I think Django is probably up there. Obviously, Pulp Fiction's a classic. Reservoir.
Yeah, I don't think he doesn't have a true stinker.
No, and nothing. I guess if you want to go by his probably, if I had to be honest about what's his biggest stinker, then it's not that I don't love it. I mean, as of late, I guess you would say, Hateful Eight. I know a lot of people didn't necessarily. It wasn't one of the ones that were really talked about, you know. So.
Yeah, Hateful Eight seems like it kind of gets forgotten, and I think it's because of just the nature of the movie. It's like a chamber piece. You know, it's one location.
It's a play.
In there. It's a play. Yeah.
But
although it is very cinematic, you know, I've watched
absolutely.
It within the past year. I revisited the film, and it's a really good looking movie.
This is the best I can do.
It's the best we got.
I mean, I can't drink my coffee, and I mean, they call me a radio cowboy.
What was the name of the show he was on, Rick Dalton? Was it Outlaw?
Bounty Law.
Bounty Law. Yeah, that's right.
Which is, you know, actually, the length of the movie, I was sitting there, I was like, oh, man, yeah, I don't know what it is. I think it's because it's weird. You can watch 10 episodes of a TV show for some reason, and it's fine. But you fucking try to watch a 2.5, 3 hour movie, you're like, all right, man, like, but I like a movie. If it's a good movie, length isn't too much of a problem.
Yeah.
But I enjoy those long scenes. I just enjoy, like, there's a scene particularly when he goes to the Spawn Ranch, which was like, it's actually a very long scene. It's probably 30 minutes.
20 minutes probably altogether from the time that he picks the girl up to the time he leaves.
Yeah.
We'll get into the particulars of that though, because I would like to talk about that scene. It's one of the best scenes in the movie.
The dogs, man, keeps it alive.
Yeah, with this movie, I the first time I saw it, I was not super hot on it. I was like, yeah, it was okay. I was like, it was fine. I enjoyed like individual moments of the movie more than I enjoyed like the whole movie. But as time has gone on, and the few times watching it a few more times, you kind of acclimate to what it's doing, because it is a very kind of meandering movie. It almost feels like it doesn't really have a point. The Sharon Tate stuff, you're like, well, you could take that out of the movie, and it really almost wouldn't matter. But then once you watch it a few more times, I kind of saw what the goal of the movie was. It didn't reveal itself to me the first time I watched it. And I don't know if that was just because there's so many, like you said, like these almost like little episodes, and you don't really understand 100% how they add up, like, how they complement each other. Like wasn't super apparent to me the first time. It's something that definitely has grown in appreciation, and I would put it up towards the top of the list for me. I want to say I'd probably agree with you. I think Django is probably the one I enjoy the most. And I think it's one of his more kind of coherent movies, Django. I mean, people argue that one's a little too long, and I probably wouldn't totally disagree, but I just like being in that with those characters so much, you kind of just don't care. And I would say this movie has the same effect, where it's like you just like these characters so much, you just kind of don't care that they're not really doing anything.
I guess that's a fair point.
It's
sure.
It's like almost a plotless movie.
I don't know. When I watch a film, I can't say that I'm not a big nitpicky guy all the time. I think Quentin Tarantino he's very aesthetically pleasing. I think you could even say a lot of this stuff is world building, the culture of the times.
Oh yeah,
and
so
stuff.
Much texture here.
Yeah, and it's not something that needs to be part of the plot necessarily. I think the world itself is the main driver here.
Well, I would say, yeah, exactly. I would agree with you. I think just the atmosphere and the tone is what drives the movie along rather than a plot. Because the plot is almost just like very thin.
I feel like Quentin Tarantino is creating a whole entire new genre of movies.
Well, he's kind of harkens back to movies from the era that this movie takes place in. Like they called like hangout movies. Yeah. And I'm not super familiar with a lot of them. I've seen a few. I can't remember their names because I will listen to a podcast he was on after the movie came out. Yeah. And they were kind of discussing this idea, these kind of plotless movies that are just kind of about the atmosphere and the tone and like you said, the world. I think it's a really astute observation on your part. Like really just kind of picking up on that is what he was going for, because it was what he was going for. And I think it's overall pretty successful in that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I like the way he plays with the sense of time, the sense of the reality of the situation, and the degrees of separation in Hollywood is pretty. If you know a few people, you know a lot of people. Very quickly, especially in that industry. And showing kind of the framework in the background. There's a scene with Bruce Lee, which is fantastic. And I will say this, Brad Pitt gives an amazing performance. I actually really like not that Brad Pitt I've ever thought of being a bad actor or anything, but he's always Brad Pitt, and there's nothing wrong with that.
He's a movie star. He's a movie star. He's like Tom Cruise.
Yeah, I mean, but Tom Cruise, I would say, is probably I wouldn't say that. Maybe you're right. Or it's like Keanu. You know what you're getting when you get Keanu. Well, you know what you're getting, I guess, when you get Tom. Sure.
You're kind of okay with them just being themselves to a certain degree. Like, you don't require them to be... And it's fun to watch them do accents and shit, even though you kind of know it's... Like in Inglourious Bastards, the other Tarantino... It's like, his accent is awful. But it's so much fun in context of the movie and the character that you kind of just, like, go with it.
I think that's kind of what Tarantino harks back to the old... Just enjoy yourself. Enjoy the movie. You don't need to have A-list type guys. I mean, sure, you need a few of those to plug in to fill key roles, but you don't need to be. It's just fun. That's why I like Quentin Tarantino movies. They're fun movies. They're not trying to take themselves so seriously to the point that it's pandering or whatever. And the movie is more of a journey. And it's more like a drive. You're taking a drive along with these characters. And a lot of this movie takes place a good bit. I would say probably almost 40 minutes of it in a car.
It's not, somebody did clock it. It's not quite that long. I think it's maybe around 20 minutes of actually.
Is it really it? It felt so long, like he was in the car all the time. Well, I guess it's just traveling to and fro.
Well, because he wanted to get you in that mindset of like what California's like. and all the
Yeah,
driving around people do and stuff, and that
absolutely.
was something he did intentionally. All right, before we get into any specifics, I feel like we're about to get into spoiler territory here. What would you give it out of 10?
I would give it a solid 8. You know, solid 7.58, and it's hard to give it anything less or more. You know, for me.
I would give it, the first time I saw it, I would have said like 7.5. And now after subsequent viewings, it's a movie that kind of grows on you a little bit. I've really come to kind of fall in love with it, so I'd probably give it a 9.5.
Wow. I maybe if I watched it a couple more times, but I think it's hard to go above and beyond to be like impressive. I feel like if you're gonna go above 8 for me, and that maybe watching a couple more times, it would have to be pretty high. You know, like that would be pretty amazing.
What is in your
The Master.
The Master is a 10, right?
That's a 10.
Yeah.
That's 10 out of 10. Hands down. Maybe it's just because and it's also, I guess, what kind of movies you truly enjoy. So I enjoy, there's parts of this film that are absolutely just flawless, I think. And I love the hilarity of the situations, and they're great. They're awesome. And there's a real humanity to it, I think, in this movie it's hard to come across. And I think that's what Quentin Tarantino does, is even in the vulgarity and the gore and the ridiculousness of the set pieces and everything that's going on. It's just one of those things that you can just really just watch it and enjoy it and take it in. And there's nothing, it's not trying to be anything more than what it is. It's not trying to be anything, that to me. So I think the reason why I'm going to give it a 7.58 is mainly because it's not necessarily what I would say is a masterpiece. You know, to me, The Master is one of those types of movies.
Well, The Master is so focused that it's a lot easier to kind of appreciate the fact that it literally does not miss a beat. Like, that's a almost perfect movie, if not a perfect movie to me. I would actually put There Will Be Blood probably in that category as well.
Absolutely.
Both Paul Thomas Anderson movies. But I mean, I think There Will Be Blood has a weird tonal shift in the last two scenes, but they're good scenes. It just feels a little weird in the movie. You spent 2
but you're
watching.
you're also looking at the perspective of a man 20 years later or so. Or,
That's fair. That's a fair point.
Know, like you know what I mean.
Actually, those would be. We should do a whole suite. We should do all Paul Thomas Anderson movies.
Yeah.
One
I'm down. I fucking love PTA.
Because I'm down to. Actually, I would like to revisit some of the older movies and then watch them kind of in close proximity to each other. With
I just
his
watched
later
Magnolia,
movies.
so.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I just watched that, that's a fucking long movie.
I like Magnolia, though.
I like it too, but it's
a giant operatic soap opera. Like, it's a big movie soap opera.
It's great.
A lot of fun.
But yeah, I say let's get into some of the spoiler stuff, you know, just so people are aware. This is what we usually do. We give a rating.
We're in spoiler territory now, everybody. Yeah. So if you have not watched Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and would like to remain unspoiled, this is where you should stop. Stop. Go away.
Yeah. Okay, shit's about to get wild.
I'll give you the Harry and the Hendersons ending. Go away. Nobody likes you. Nobody loves you anymore. Go.
I watched this, and I have to say, I think the thing that Quentin Tarantino is creating almost a new genre, which I don't know if it's necessarily a new genre, but when he takes these historical narratives and flips them on their head, I love that. Like, I do.
One key element of it. Generally, whatever atrocity.
Inglourious Bastards. I mean, he goes in there and he fucking kills Hitler, which is, you're getting the thing that you always, you know, from a historical context, everyone wished they could have known that Hitler was taken out by a bunch of Americans in a fucking theater. Like, that would be awesome. Right?
Yeah, especially because you go into that scene expecting like tragedy for the heroes.
Yeah.
And he's like, "No, fuck it, it's a movie.
Yeah,
I can do whatever I want."
And that's the fourth wall, right? You know, that he breaks down, and that's
like a meta thing for sure.
I don't know if I've ever really seen that in film, at least big budget, where they actually do everything around that film. Which I don't know if I'm sure Dalton was a real person.
No.
No, he wasn't. Okay. So I didn't know if he was a real person.
They're
or
based
not,
like all of the characters are kind of the principal cast, except for Sharon Tate and those people. Those were obviously all real people,
right?
but they were they're based they're approximations of people from the era, like
right.
you know,
Yeah, stuntmen and like, all the old washed up Western guys,
well,
Like
guys that just didn't know where to fit in like a transitionary period because they were like
right.
he did Bounty Law, and then but it was in the '60s. So to be a movie star in the '60s, to make that transition to the new era and be in newer things was difficult for guys like that because he's such a traditional leading man type. That's in the '60s. People weren't looking for traditional leading men anymore.
Right. Uh, yeah, that makes sense. But if we're gonna sit here, but when they do this amazing scene at the end, which is the bow, the bow on top or the cherry on top, as far as really just finishing this film in a great way. I mean, you get the payoff of seeing the people that commit this atrocity. If you know of the Sharon Tate, Roman Polanski event that happened, it's Charles Manson, and we all know the history. I also like how they don't show Charles Manson in this movie. There's no payoff there, which I really appreciate.
Well, they
They
show him
keep
for like 10 seconds.
when he comes up to the house, right? That was Charles Manson. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they don't really, you don't get to see the craziness. But that whole last 30 minutes really is great because I'm waiting. I'm like, oh, okay, I wasn't sure. I didn't read anything about the movie, so I wasn't sure how it was going to end. So it was a very pleasant surprise. And Brad Pitt on acid, kicking ass. Can't really beat that.
Yeah, it was like kind of like a reminder that like, oh no, you're watching like a full-fledged Quentin Tarantino movie.
Yeah, but dude, he was like fucking John Wick. He was just
he wasn't
eating
even.
them.
It wasn't even John Wick. It was like so much more brutal and simple.
Oh, I know.
He literally just
but
like when he turns around and throws the can of dog food at that chick's face,
Yeah.
and then you're like, holy fuck. And then he starts beating the girl's head against the telephone and then the desk.
Oh my
and then
gosh.
just like, holy fuck.
And no, the dog was awesome too because he sits the dog on the guy.
Yeah, it was a great payoff to the dog being there at all. Yeah.
Well, yeah, no. Now the whole thing made sense, and I don't know, man. Like just that whole scene really got me hyped and excited, and I did catch myself quite a few times in this movie actually laughing.
It's
quite a few times.
It's a comedy. Like it's a comedy.
This is a the Nice Guys kind of got that vibe, obviously because the era and the location. I'm just saying as far as the buddy cop feel. They're buddies. They hang out all the time. They're kind of doing their thing together and getting drunk and having a great time. But just their simple relationship. I
could have watched the movie just about Rick Dalton and Brad Pitt's character. I can't remember his name.
Cliff
Booth.
Cliff Booth.
Yeah,
what are you, John Wilkes? What? Yeah, that's hilarious when they go.
I could have watched that. I could watch a show about them.
And that's the thing. You watch Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt. They have great charisma on screen. They really interact well.
Yeah, their chemistry is incredible.
Yeah, they really. I mean, the way the lines bounce off back and forth. It's great.
Well, and the fact that they're like two big movie star kind of guys, because Leonardo DiCaprio is kind of the same way as like Brad Pitt or your Tom Cruises. They're movie stars. Like you go see them because you want to see Leonardo DiCaprio in a movie. You don't go see somebody to get lost in a character or totally submerged. Even when they might do that, they think they're doing that.
I would say The Wolf of Wall Street was probably his best performance for me.
Ooh, I see this one. I think it might edge it out a little bit. Like I think he kind of got robbed.
Well, no, I would. You could say that maybe, but I mean, there's that scene when he fucking messes up his line and he goes back into his trailer and he's just screaming. He's like, you're gonna make a promise to yourself to stop fucking drinking. And then he goes over to the side, he grabs and he goes, wow, and he spits it out and throws. It's really one of those types of things where you're just like, you know what though, but
you're either gonna get it right or I'm gonna blow your fucking brains out.
Yeah. But who hasn't really said some stupid shit like that
to
themselves,
dude.
You know?
No, it's a very like
honest moment there.
Honest moment about being a fuck up and catching yourself when you're being self-destructive and you know you are.
Yeah. I think it's one of those things where Leo is always solid, so I mean you can never really, but I always found him in either Django or The Wolf of Wall Street for me. Just I
Oh
love his
yeah,
performance in that.
he's like a amazing comedic actor. He has like
Yeah,
awesome timing because all the Tarantino stuff he's done, um, or
which
the
he's only done the
two
two, right?
Tarantino movies,
Yeah,
and then Wolf of Wall Street, like those are comedic performances in a way. He's grounds them. He's a good actor, so he can ground it
yeah,
in a reality. So it's not like
absolutely.
Jim Carrey in a movie, but
Yeah, being Looney Tunes or whatever.
yeah, he grounds the characters, but they are fucking hilarious. When the Manson family is up in the cul-de-sac at the end of the movie, and he comes out in his bathrobe and the
And he's got a
fucking
picture of
margarita,
like, yeah, the picture of
frozen
margarita shit.
margarita. Yeah, dude, I was dying. I
Dude,
was
that is
fucking
so
dying.
great. And that's kind of the charm of this movie is I think it is very episodic in a sense, which I wonder if that was intentional by because of the way the westerns, old western shows, in that episodic sense. But no, this whole movie goes from beginning to end. You get a really good sense for the characters. I think the reason why you need Sharon Tate in this movie and Roman Polanski and that whole setup and their lavish lifestyle or whatever. You're seeing the rising stars and you're seeing a falling star, and then which makes a good comparison. But the payoff would be nothing without that ending. Wouldn't even work without having them in that movie
No, well, I mean,
and having them as much.
I was surprised apparently because a lot of younger people are not super familiar with that story, so it didn't play the same way it did for if you knew. Obviously, if you know the history, you know what happens.
I would
What's
be kind of.
supposed to
It's kind of shocking that a lot of people don't know about
dude,
Charles Manson.
people like under 25 like don't really know
Well,
about that
well, I'm
stuff.
just saying because of Mindhunter as of recently, and you would think with all the true crime stuff, and you
You would
just would
think
think
so.
that it would be a very
Hey,
big case.
I was surprised. I was just as surprised. I was like, wow, I guess it's really just not a thing that people remember. It's not in there. It's not part of the cultural zeitgeist like it was even 20 years ago, or like when we were little kids. We knew about Charlie Manson. Like he was
Oh, it's
still on
probably because
TV.
it was probably because of our parents as well. Our parents
Well,
were
he was just on.
all around
He,
during that
he
time.
was on
So,
TV. He was referenced a lot in pop culture. Like
yeah,
there are always pictures and magazines at the supermarket with his face on it.
yeah,
You know, shit like that. And that's not obviously not as time goes on that stops happening. But I thought the Sharon Tate stuff. Well, I agree with you. But I didn't come to really appreciate it until maybe the second time I watched it because it was really just about taking the mythology away from the Mansons,
yeah.
taking this idea that they're kind of mythologized at this time in Hollywood and giving it back to Sharon Tate. Because Sharon Tate became known as the girl who got killed by Charlie Manson, or
And this kind of gives her
not by Charlie Manson, by his
his
cohorts.
cohorts. Oh, wow. Ooh,
It's called
we did
Duggery.
that. That was at the same time. Wow. You know we said that at the same time? Did you catch that?
I did.
Wow. Wow.
Great minds.
Locked in. Locked in. I think it kind of brings that. I think that's actually a really good perspective. I didn't really think of that it actually humanizes her, bringing her back to she had friends, she had a
Yeah,
life, and
gives her
she was pregnant.
it gives her life back to her. She's not just like a victim of this tragedy that happened in the 60s and she
Yeah.
was, and she was Roman Polanski's wife.
Yeah. No, I think it really shows the nature of life and how I guess maybe even it's just these random events, because it's the butterfly effect. I guess in the movie, the psychos, the Manson family ends up showing up to the wrong house. In our perceived reality, it would be the wrong house in the film, but that changes. I'm guessing that changes Dalton's life. He ends up being able to become an A-list actor. It kind of shows that he's being invited back into main Hollywood or whatever, into the mainstream.
He realizes that there's these kind of slightly younger people that actually grew up with him. And they kind of like, in the same way that Tarantino did for John Travolta back in Pulp Fiction days, kind of like these kind of faded stars that were really, really popular, 15 years before. And everybody likes them and everybody knows them, but nobody knows what they're doing.
Yeah, and I think it's. I mean, you're even seeing in recent things, someone like Macaulay Culkin would probably be a good example. Today, you don't really know what he's going to be doing or who he is. You know what I mean? Because he was a massive star. So
when he was a kid, yeah. As an
that's what
adult,
I'm
he's been
saying.
pretty low key. He's only done
And
a couple
that's
movies for his
that's by
friends.
that's probably by choice. I
It
think
is
a
Well,
lot of it.
now he's
coming
coming.
to.
He's coming back with American Horror Story, right?
Yeah, that's what they're saying, which I never fucking watched. Really, I tried a season, I think, and I'm
I
like,
watched. Yeah, I watched like the first 2 seasons, and I was like, I'm out.
listen,
But
I got 2 seasons of Dexter left. Like,
I got a lot of stuff to do. I got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, a lot of catching up.
Especially, it must be tough balancing Dexter in school.
Ah, dude, let me tell you,
All this time you wasted when you were doing nothing.
I know. Well, no, trust me, dude. I put some serious hours into The Witcher. You know what I'm saying? Fucking some serious hours. But this film, I can't say enough that it's definitely a long film. This is a movie. I like watching movies early in the morning. That's my favorite time to watch them. I hate watching movies at night. I'm not a fan of it at all. You know, I like to get down on the couch, have a cup of coffee, and just that's my favorite way to enjoy a movie. Right at around like 6, 7 in the morning. It's quiet. It's nice. So that's what I did this morning. And it's one of those movies you really just got to sit down and watch. You got to just enjoy it. And I think this is a hard thing for modern young people today, or probably for a long time, but they want that quick, let's get this thing through. And
it's a movie that really requires your attention.
Yeah.
Because if you're not paying attention, you'll be like, what the fuck is going on? Because not a lot happens. Like, that's the thing. Like, it's a kind of a plotless movie for a lot of it. So if you're not paying attention, not just vibing with the characters, you'll be like, what the fuck? What's going on?
And I think that's a good way to describe it as a hangout movie. Definitely definitely a hangout movie. But I really do think that Quentin Tarantino is creating kind of this new genre of these historical narratives that I know that's probably been done in movies before. I honestly can't think of a time or a movie where they have, at least on this scale, this big of a movie.
Well, because the whole movie almost rests on those things when they happen. It's the linchpin of the movie. It's such, because if that didn't work and people didn't jive with it, the whole movie would fall apart.
And he pulled it off. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry.
No, good.
I was gonna say I was surprised. Like, that's what made it so surprising. I was like, is he gonna do it again? I didn't think he'd do it again.
Yeah, I was a little because I was waiting for the scene and they go up to the house. Like, that's what I was waiting for. When I just watched it. So
it's kind of the same way in Inglourious Basterds. You're waiting for tragedy. You're waiting for something tragic to happen to these characters, and then he just turns it around. I mean, dude, when Leo takes that fucking flamethrower out, holy shit! I thought I was gonna piss my pants.
Dude, I was like, no way. And I was just sitting there, I guess, being somewhat prior law enforcement. I'm like, oh man, I wonder if he would get away with that. But then again, she had a gun in her hand. It's great.
Sorry. No, just the whole flamethrower setup. Everything was so good. Like the first time you see him doing the movie.
He's like, hey, can you turn down the heat?
Yeah,
like, it's a
flamethrower. It's a flamethrower. Yeah. So many great little moments just all over the movie, and they all come together at the end. It's really, really, really does. I would highly suggest watching it again at some time in the near future. It really does almost it enriches itself, and you notice all those little details that maybe you wouldn't see
food, the fucking just everything. The dog and its obedience, and it's everything comes together.
And there's two more scenes in particular that I want to talk about, which is you mentioned in the non-spoiler section, the Bruce Lee scene. The whole setup to the Bruce Lee scene with what's his name, Kurt Russell, my man, Kurt Russell, one of my all-time favorite actors. He was
and the stunt woman, the Australian Zoe Bell. Yeah, I like her. She's always good character.
Yeah, she was great, and she was fucking hysterical. And nobody likes Cliff because she doesn't like Cliff because she thinks he's a murderer.
And I like how they never go into more detail than they're sitting on a boat. She's just kind of being a bitch to him. And he just looks up at her.
He's got the spear gun in his lap.
And he's also got the fucking the uni goggle, just the big fucking old scuba diving goggle, and when he opened the beer, just sprayed on his face, and he doesn't even just do anything about it. He's just sitting there staring like this dumb bitch. I feel like anyone could have that argument with their wife Like,
Of
if they
course.
really had a
Yeah.
bad relationship and you do have a spear gun and, like, you're in the middle of
Yeah.
a fucking ocean.
Well, the only reason we feel it's ominous is because we're predisposed to feel that because they
Yeah.
tell us that like, oh, he might have killed his wife.
But it's funny because I just love that whole little scene. That's a good scene. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But
Well,
what about the Bruce Lee scene?
did you think that the Bruce Lee scene was disrespectful to Bruce Lee?
Disrespectful.
People had like Bruce Lee's family, the estate of Bruce Lee had a problem.
I mean, if
And,
they can't see that this is a film that's not necessarily set in reality,
well, that's my whole thing. It's like
he's a
everybody's
characterization, right? Like he's
yeah.
a
It was like this.
caricature.
Yes, he was exactly. But everybody's kind of a caricature. Like everybody's a little larger than life.
Yeah.
Even Sharon Tate is like not like a real person. She's an idealized version of Sharon Tate.
Right.
You know, she's
So, but people had a
mythic
problem
version.
with that scene.
Yes. Like, well,
What?
the Asian community, and then Bruce Lee's family, and because they thought, I guess it was disrespectful to show that somebody might have been able to beat up Bruce Lee, and that he was an arrogant prick. I was like, have you ever listened to Bruce Lee talk?
I mean, I don't
He's
know.
kind-
No.
I don't think he was a douchebag, but dude, I've listened. Back when I was a kid, I don't know. I was really into Bruce Lee for a while, so I watched all like these interviews and all this stuff. He is a little like of a windbag, a little bit.
No, I don't know. I never got that vibe
No,
from him. I would just say, dude, that would be early in his career, a younger man.
Yeah, but he would have said something like, "Yeah, I could beat Cassius Clay." He would say that.
But he probably could have.
I don't know, man.
Dude,
That's American Steel, baby. That's American.
Yeah, that's American Steel. Fucking Rocky, huh? I don't know. I didn't see it as that. I don't know.
But it's so hilarious. It's so hilarious. It's the best.
Dude, when he fucking he's like, try it again. He's like, wah! And then he does it too, and he's like, ah! Like Brad Pitt. Then he just throws him into a fucking car, and it's obviously ridiculously, dented, and you're like, what the fuck? How hard did he just get thrown into that car?
Yeah, I know, especially cars.
Well, I think it's also because Bruce Lee was such a hardened man. He was so muscular, as hard as a rock.
Only Cliff Booth could take him down. Well, that's the whole thing. It's a meta moment in the movie where it's telling you in Hollywood terms that Bruce Lee was the most motherfucker on the planet. And we have to set up Cliff Booth as being actually the baddest motherfucker on the planet. That's who Cliff Booth is going to spar with. And if they never finish the fight, it just shows you that Cliff Booth is nobody to fuck around with. He can actually hold his own against Bruce Lee.
That's it.
And it's just there for function, and it's to me it was a very funny scene.
Yeah, I don't know why anyone would have a problem with that, honestly. So I think that's just. I mean, I could see the family maybe being a little, but then again, if it's fucking a movie, so get over it.
Yeah,
like it's a movie. If you watch to the end of the movie, and you will see that this movie is not supposed to be a basis in reality. This movie is not a historical narrative. So what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah. Yeah.
So whatever. So what was the other scene that you said?
Oh, you mentioned it before, the Spawn Ranch sequence. Everything at Spawn Ranch. I thought that it made a great argument that Quentin Tarantino could actually probably be really good at making a
horror movie.
A horror movie, yeah. Or a really cool thriller.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Like, and the fact that he is able to subvert you and then make it comedy again.
Yeah.
Right at the end is amazing. Like,
I love the old guy.
Yeah.
He's like who? So that little redhead back there. He's like, I'm fucking blind. I can't tell a fucking color. The guy just goes off. But it's well, because you're definitely getting the vibe that, oh man, maybe they killed him. That's what you're supposed to think. You're like, oh,
yeah, of course.
they fucking killed
or
him.
That they're holding him hostage or something.
Or I was expecting that as well. And the tension building was really good. And then when that fucking dude, probably my favorite part of that whole scene is probably when the dude puts the thing in his tire and he just beats the fuck out of him and makes him change his tire. It's just, he just grabs him by his hair. And don't tell me, as a man, woman, I don't know, but if you've ever wanted to grab a fistful of someone's hair and hold their head as hard as you can. Don't tell me that would, I've always wanted to just grab someone by their fucking hair, like long hair, like, boom, and like that meat punch, that fucking just break their face. Something I've always wanted to do. Only in the right circumstances, of course.
Well, maybe someday you'll get your chance to move into a bad neighborhood, become like a Death Wish style vigilante.
Yeah, or maybe like Dexter.
Yeah, the old guy was Bruce Dern, and they actually had originally cast, and he did the table read was Burt Reynolds, but he died.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, he was going to play that part.
Oh, well, Bert was Bert.
Yeah, but that whole sequence, just the way from the beginning to end, it just plays so well. Like the whole thing, even with Brad Pitt in the car with the young girl.
Mm-hmm.
It also kind of adds like this layer of that he's kind of maybe getting a little in over his head. Like she's kind of like, it adds this element of weird danger, recklessness that you see on the part of these flower children.
Yeah, and how bold he is too. Just to be like, "Oh, I'm gonna go in the house, like fucking stop me or whatever." And you're like, "Dude, these motherfuckers have guns. They could be crazy. I don't know." It's definitely one of those. It was a good scene though. No, I agree with that. Absolutely. I was a little shocked that there was controversy. Thank you. At all with this film, but I remember when it first came out, there was a big just talking about how the women didn't have any speaking role as much
Oh
or
yeah,
whatever.
this fucking dipshit. Because everything has to be measured in like lines. That means you had a
Yeah.
good part. She's the heart and soul of the movie.
Oh, you're talking Margot Robbie?
That's who they were talking about.
Yeah.
Specifically, like why doesn't Sharon Tate have more lines? It's just like what? Like that doesn't make a performance or a movie or anything.
No, she was great.
They did the same thing about Anna Paquin when for The Irishman.
Oh yeah.
They said the same thing.
That's a weird thing to like argue about. It's the amount of lines because as an actor or actress, it's a performance.
Yeah, it's a full-bodied experience.
What happens? Like what the fuck? Like I don't know. That was definitely something that I didn't understand why people are bringing that up.
No, because it's this whole it's part of the feminist film critique. It's kind of a part of what's it called, the Bechdel test. Some woman named something Bechdel came up with a test about if you ever have two women in a movie, do they get to exclusively talk to each other, and if they do, are they going to talk about the men in the movie? And to pass the Bechdel test, you have to have like 2 minutes of a conversation between two women that don't mention any of the male characters and just talk. It's a stupid, arbitrary thing, but for some reason, people like take it or took it seriously. I don't hear it very much anymore. I heard it a few years ago, like 5 or 6 years ago. It kind of came back around. Hadn't really heard it since then, and then this feels like a holdover of that kind of perspective about that you're scoring a movie like you would, I don't know, like based on lines. It's like watching boxers and you score them based on how many punches they get, like counting things. It's weird.
Yeah, I don't know. That whole whatever, dude. People are get woke, go broke. That's what I say. That's what's made Quentin Tarantino so successful is that it's about his vision, and he does his vision, and it's not about pandering to one side or the other. And keeping the reality of a situation there. And I think that's why someone like Martin Scorsese or probably a lot of the bigger filmmakers, it's their vision. They're going in, they're not necessarily looking at some ulterior motive to get something across.
Yeah, they don't make movies by committee or by check boxes. They're not trying to check off. There's like you said, they're trying to execute.
Oh, we got the LGBTQIA plus scene in here. We're good. We got this.
Yeah, they're not Marvel movies. Like they're not a Marvel garbage.
But there's enough to sit there and say, well, as a viewer, as a white male viewer, it's nice to see some dudes fucking ripping. No, I'm kidding. No, but there's definitely, hey, dude, equal representation is not necessary,
Well, because it's all relative to the story you're telling, and it would be weird if they made Charlie's Angels and they cast a dude in one of the roles, or just one,
or all dudes,
even just one dude. If one dude took a place of one of the angels, that would be weird, and it would be stupid.
Yeah, it would be. Well, from the respect to the original show and movies.
Well, it's just because it's just that's a larger
Why?
conversation about why do we gender swap? Why do we do all this
Yeah.
shit? Like, just write roles for more roles for people.
Or just
Write new
write
characters. Come up
right.
with new things. Like,
Absolutely.
James Bond doesn't need to become a woman someday. Because why? Make a different character.
Well,
Make a
there's nothing
different
that
character.
says that. I mean, is James Bond? I mean, a woman could take over the 007. Doesn't have to
Yes.
be be James Bond, but I mean, whatever. If
Well,
they have a
yeah,
cool,
you could
interesting
just
way to do that, then fine.
yeah. Well,
I
that's
don't
I think
care.
they're playing. They're that's what there was. It No Time to Die, is that the new one? They're playing around with that. Like, James Bond retired. He's coming out of retirement, but somebody else who is a woman has the 00.
And whatever. Like, to me, it just goes, listen, as long as you're not replacing it would be going in and replacing any main figure in a movie. We shouldn't be doing for the sake of diversity or anything. I think it's about what suits the next progression in the story, or what actually makes sense. Forcing the hand of viewers, just to, like, hey, you will accept this or this type of thought. If I go see a James Bond movie, I want to see a fucking James Bond movie. But then you can't call it James Bond anymore. If you put a woman in there, you cannot call, there is no James Bond, right? I mean, I know.
There's no movie called James Bond :
Yeah,
this.
I know, but I'm just saying there is no.
You could do a side movie, like a in the world of James Bond, and from the world of Ian Fleming, and do.
I mean, I'm not trying to fucking have another Fast and Furious situation on my hands. Okay.
What's the Fast and Furious situation?
Like, you got like Hobbs and Shaw, and then you have.
Things getting out of control.
I mean, they're already on the next one, I guess. I'm so done with those.
I checked out of those a long time ago.
Checked out after 5, probably. But there's enough going on in Hollywood right now where I think, you have some really interesting people still making movies. They're not pandering. They're just making movies they want to make, and I think that's great.
The thing that actually was good, that Tarantino responded in what I would think is the right way to do it. He was just like, I just reject what you're saying. He's like, if you're going to start measuring art this way, nobody's ever going to be happy. Like, you're just complaining to complain. Like, this is to suggest that a performance hinges on the amount of dialogue you have is disrespectful to the character, and is disrespectful to the actress playing the role.
Yeah.
Like, to suggest that, like, with this movie Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, that Margot Robbie's performance doesn't leave an impact on the viewer, and she is the third lead of the movie.
Yeah.
Just because she doesn't talk as much doesn't fucking matter. She is the third lead of the movie. She has just as big a presence as the other two guys, as Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio. So it just doesn't matter, and I'm glad that he responded. He has always been good about that. Like, he has never, when people try to call him out for violence and encouraging children to kill each other or whatever, he's just like, it's a movie. There's a famous interview he did. Yeah. It's a movie, Jan. Movies are supposed to be fun.
Yeah. Because that was about Kill Bill, I'm pretty sure.
Yes, I believe it was.
And then there was the one with, I can't remember, but this guy's pissed so many people off. The famous interview with Robert Downey Jr.
Yes,
and he
I know
randomly
about.
he's definitely I think probably some sort of
shutting your butt down.
Some sort of Indian descent or something. I mean, he's English, I think.
He's a BBC journalist.
Yeah, BBC. Yeah, that guy. And it's always him for some reason. It's like, do you get the kick out of being that guy? But when you just see Robert Downey Jr.'s face, just fucking go, what are you doing? What do you do? What is this? Like, yeah. I'm here for a fucking movie, dude. What is this? And the same thing with Tarantino. And I think Tarantino's always had a pretty, I would say, good track record as far as standing up for his movies, or probably other people's movies too.
Because he just looks at it as an art form, and he looks at it's cinema. It's like, committees and critics and stuff don't get to dictate the terms by which artists can express themselves. Right. I fucking hate that. We've talked about this before, and it comes up all the time because it's so prevalent. It is a pox on art in general. Just in general, it's once you start having, like, people don't review your movie anymore. They review what they would think your movie should have been. Or they don't review your music anymore. They review what they think you're allowed to do in music. Like, it's fucking weird. It's stupid.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of a weird, some sort of confirmation bias. I think is really what it comes down to. Is they're looking for things that they all before you go into a movie and they are going to watch it, they're already looking for these things. If
Yeah.
you're going to be using that Blechter, whatever her fucking scale,
Oh, Bechdel test. Yeah.
yeah, the Bechdel test, and you're already going into it with the wrong mindset and not going into actually enjoy a movie. A movie that I enjoyed, predominantly African American cast, was Moonlight. I thought that was pretty good. I thought it was really good.
Moonlight's an
Um,
excellent movie. It's like
but if
super well made, well performed, great
Yeah,
performances.
everything's great. Yeah, and it really brings to the light of homosexuality in black culture, and I thought that was really interesting.
Well, and
Uh,
but not only that, but like just not to be like we can just because we're two straight white guys doesn't mean we can't fucking watch that movie and just
and
appreciate it because it's just a well-made movie.
or have empathy for the main character,
Well, but the
or
movie is so well made and so well told and like and executed
and
that it,
it's not about him being gay
well,
necessarily.
it's not. Well, it is a little bit about
No,
him.
I mean no, but it's not necessarily to the point where that is the only driving force behind
No, it
what's the truth of the movie.
well, it's inviting
You
you
know?
to have an experience rather than preaching at you.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
trying to get you to empathize with a character rather than tell you that you should feel bad or that
Right.
you're evil or
Right.
whatever. It's not. It doesn't do that, and it's all the credit to it because it made it accessible and it made it real and enjoyable for everybody.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Agree.
It's
I
not
agree.
some fucking bullshit where they like literally. I cannot stand this dude. Like people just. It's like almost like they stop movies and the characters look at the camera and speak
Yes.
the subtext of a movie.
Yes.
Fucking drives me insane.
Absolutely. I
The only
agree.
person that's allowed to do that is Nicolas Cage.
Okay.
Nicholas, sure. Just because I think it would be funny if he did that.
Uh, I I do think it is a problem. I do think it is unfortunate that but then again, I think it's always been that way, and I think you're always in any art form you have
And
the panderers and they have the extremists
not in
where
the not in the like the entrenched film critic because this is the kind of thing that I enjoy because I enjoy this stuff. I'm a big movie nerd. Like it has never been this skewed in such a broad spectrum.
I mean, maybe not a broad spectrum, but I think it's always been there, and it's always they're always been leaning more towards equity and equality, and saying that whether or not it was in your face as it is today, as someone looking
Well,
directly into a screen. But
well, because
yeah,
that stuff was more of a intellectual pursuit. It was like in universities and rich white people talked about it, that kind of stuff.
yeah,
And now
and
it's kind of now it's
same thing.
bleeding out into now. But now we have a generation of people that are I don't know what the deal is. They feel entitled or
I just
something, and they're
I don't
kind of
think it's entitlement. I think it's some sort of lack of understanding of the real world around us. And if anybody goes into a movie, I like for example, I remember when Black Panther came out, and I went and saw it. It was good. It was an entertaining movie to watch with a bunch of people. It was,
sure.
and I was glad that I guess in a way I could sit there. It wasn't about him being black. The movie itself wasn't necessarily. Well, I mean, there was some definitely racial or cultural or class stuff going on in those movies, but I mean, it was fine. It was fine. I just didn't sit there and hate the movie because they were black. There was
No.
things I just had wrong. I didn't think were done well.
No,
But that's
and
that's
that's
all
why
those movies.
and that's why like we've also briefly talked about this before. Like these kind of reactionary YouTube people that just shit on everything constantly now. Now it's just a thing because they
Oh
just
yeah.
get clicks and they just find things, whether it's Star Wars or it's Black Panther, Marvel in general, just like constantly, like just kind of taking shit too far sometimes. Like the Black Panther thing. I mean, I think that the promotion of especially the Marvel movies in particular, generally the promotion cycle is the problem. It's not the actual movie. Because barely anything that they'll talk about on the promotional cycle is actually in the fucking movie. So whether it's Captain Marvel or it's Black Panther, it's really just like how they're promoting the movie that makes people feel defensive or whatever.
I never got defensive about Black Panther. I just don't care.
Oh yeah,
because
no,
I don't, personally.
I don't get defensive about it,
But
but there's a lot of people out there that for whatever reason they're just like, if somebody tells you that like, hey man, maybe maybe if Black Panther's doing really well, if you're white, maybe don't go so black people don't feel uncomfortable with a white person in the theater.
Whatever. I mean,
That's
then you
just a
go
weird.
because
That's
you're a
just a
human
weird.
troll.
That's a that's just a weird thing to say in popular in media. Like just a weird thing.
No, I mean, and
You know, it's
that's the
like, what?
problem.
Do you
But
not
guess
want this
what?
movie to be successful? You know,
And it's
black
just
people are a minority. You know.
it goes. It's like birds of prey. When I think 50% of the people or 60% of the people that went to see the movie was men,
Yeah, 54%.
and they're blaming men
Men.
for it
Yeah.
failing. You're like,
Yeah.
what are you doing? But like whether or not those people on YouTube, whatever. I mean, they should be able to go out. I think they should be out there shitting on stuff
Well, I'm
and
not.
going out and
Well,
fight, being the cultural opposite to what it is going on.
I think there's a smart ways to do it, and then there's just the bottom barrel clickbaity
Yeah, but that's
tabloid
no. But dude,
bullshit.
listen, are you trying to make fucking money? It's like if
No, well,
you just did a clickbaity thing with the Bernie Sanders reading thing. Like that was clickbaity.
100%.
Right.
But I didn't. But it was no. I wouldn't say it's cynical. It's cynical. It's a way to try to get attention to a channel. But I
Right.
also did not really embellish. Like I did a take where I went really over the top.
Yeah.
I did a take where I did a creepy, uh, like a creeper voice, and then I did a take where I was like, I just kind of read it.
No, I get that, but it's just saying that if
you can watch that and you'll have no idea what I think about Bernie Sanders.
No, I know, but I mean, you kind of do. I mean, you can sit there and go, well, obviously this dude read it.
You can make an inference either way. I could make the argument because when I actually read it, I'm like, this is not as bad as people think it is, and there is a context for what he's saying. I think it's weird that he. I don't know what we're talking about.
Well, I mean, it doesn't. All I'm saying
is,
like,
I could argue either way.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. You did it for a reason because it's cultural. It's something that is relevant.
I'm not blowing up things that are like really insignificant and making them like much bigger or important.
You don't, but that's part of the culture. It's the backlash to this, and that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, but I'm not disagreeing that people can't do it.
No, I'm not saying can't. I'm saying who cares.
Oh, I'm not saying because it's just part of the conversation we're having.
No, I know, but like those people they're making money. It's part of making money, dude. That's fucking whatever. Like, keep going, dude. Make that money. That's the way I look at it. Life is short.
Well, I think that they do a disservice to fucking movies in general, or just art in general, and that's why you have the other side of the coin because people are fucking childish, they're like children, grown ass men surrounded by their Funko Pops, fucking talking about feminism is destroying America through this force.
It is.
Well, America rejected it because they didn't do very well. They did actually. No, they did. All the Star Wars movies made over $1 billion, so I think they did okay. But
well, not the last one, did it?
Yeah, it did.
I don't think it did. No, I don't think so.
Check the numbers, dog.
No, dude, because they only made. It didn't do well. It didn't do as well as they were hoping.
Worldwide, the one that made the most was Force Awakens, and that's because it was the first new Star Wars and however long.
Feminism is destroying America. That's all I know. And I'm glad that there are advocates and people out there speaking out against it. And whether or not it's clickbaity or
I guess my larger point is not that they're out there against it, but I think if you are a fucking dumb mongoloid about it, like you actually do your message a disservice.
But how? I mean, like, listen, no, because
if you just reactionary disagree with things and kind of conflate things and make bad arguments, you just make your side of the equation look bad. That's all. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but they're just the other extreme. That's why they exist. I'm not saying I agree with everything they say or they do, but if you can't sit there and say that get woke, go broke is not a thing that's actually happening today, and that it is because of people like this that are maybe they're conflating or not, but that's the power of what we have in this country. We can all voice our opinion, and I know, but like the way they're doing it is effective because they're getting
but that's just like saying that like, garbage reality TV gets watched more than anything else.
It's effective,
but that does not mean it is like a cultural good. It
doesn't have to be.
What are you talking about?
But it doesn't have to be.
These things, but these things actually hold sway in your life and people's lives because they take these mindsets and they apply them to other things. It doesn't just stop. It doesn't just stop there.
I don't know. I just disagree. I
I'm
think
just
it's
talking
good.
about.
I think they're good. I think they're very good. And then the reason why I think they're good is because yeah, sometimes they're full of shit. Maybe their arguments aren't that great, but the bigger picture is still there for a lot of them. And they're I don't think they're doing a disservice. I mean,
But
are you referring to someone like The Quartering?
I know you want that Doomcock money. I know
But
you want.
like no, but are you referring to someone like The Quartering or
The
Geeks and
quartering
Gamers
Geeks and
and
Gamers is probably the worst.
but
The Doomcock, at least he does a stupid voice, so I'm like, I kind of like he's a character a little bit. Jeremy from the Quartering is he is in the middle somewhere. He oftentimes takes these very literalist approaches to things that he reads and people say just to be opportunistic. Um,
yeah,
and then and it's all drama shit with those people. They're all infighting. They all hate each other.
yeah, but that's good. Like, let it happen. Let that side of the internet do its thing, and it's the same thing with the left. But at the end of the day, what's going to come out is what makes money.
No, but
That's what I'm saying.
I think, though, I'm just saying for the hearts and minds of people. I think both extremes are a negative thing. I understand that they're going to exist anyways. I'm not saying that they're not going to exist where people can't express themselves or they want to express themselves. But I do think in a larger cultural context, they do a disservice to people because they teach people that it's okay to argue in bad faith, that it's okay to have bad opinions as long as you feel like it's the right thing. And
Bad opinions on what though?
anything.
What do these? What on what? What do they have a bad opinion about? Any of these guys?
What do you?
I don't really watch them that much, but
If you make bad faith arguments,
what? No, but give me an example.
I'm not going to get into specifics. I don't know specific. I haven't written these things down. I mean, like you know what I'm talking about when they blow things out of proportion and go way over the top. I mean, come on.
But what are you talking? But no, I don't.
Just like when I read like a social justice purple haired horror movie critic or whatever, and she goes way crazy on the other side.
Right.
I think that's a bad thing too. Like
But
I
it's
just
not
don't
bad
think it
thing.
matters. I think it is a bad thing because it teaches people to double down on the stupid shit.
No, but it doesn't. I don't see those. I don't
Does.
get that. I don't think that's how it is. Like
They
for
all
most people,
they literally
those are
all
the-
get
those
in
are the-
line and try to create narratives about stuff. I mean, that's just what
Yeah,
happens.
and it's the same thing with men's rights activists and feminists. It's like, so should they not exist? Should they
I didn't.
because they
I
might
never.
be setting up bad precedents,
I
or
didn't-
are they just fighting for their side?
yeah, but who's?
But like, if there's what's a bad faith argument that I haven't heard anything necessarily, because if I've seen anything, is that these guys like Young Ye, well, he's not necessarily one of those types of people, but
He's not.
they have real significance as far as gaming culture and all these film culture and television, whatever, just entertainment culture.
Yi Young
And
is not like that though. He's a very like kind of
Young Ye,
straightforward. Oh, it's he. It says Young Ye on his channel, and then he pronounces it Yi Young here. I got told this years ago because
Okay.
I did a video on about.
But there's enough to sit there and go, they move the needle. They move the needle as far as I don't take everything they say to heart or seriously, and I don't think a lot of people do. You are going there for entertainment purposes only. Most people are not going to get information, like actual true information. I can watch something and then digest it myself.
Yeah, but that's you're not speaking for the general public.
I
The
don't
people
think
that
I don't
watch
think
these
that's
things
fair. I don't think
are-
that's fair to generalize and say that that's the way it is.
I think you can see it just by their popularity.
What their popularity? They got like fucking few 100,000 subscribers.
They most of these some of these people are reaching almost 1 million subs. What are you
Who
talking
cares?
about? Their videos get 500,000 views each, and these are dudes
Yeah.
in their basements.
Yeah,
What are
it's
you talking
sick.
about?
Good
No,
for them.
I understand that, but that is popular because we're talking about niche things. So within a niche subculture,
But they're
those
just
numbers are
it's
big.
very incestuous. Like all their fans probably like love watching all the same
They
shit.
do. Yeah,
I'm
they do.
subscribed to all of them, and
Yeah.
I don't even watch them that often. But
So that's
I
the
was like,
same
I like
500,000 people.
sometimes I like watching shit posts videos. I'm like, you know what, dude? I'm gonna watch a shit post video about fucking the new Harley Quinn movie because I feel like hating on Harley Quinn right now. I feel like I want to hear the bad stuff. You know, I want to hear it, reinforce confirmation bias.
That's your group. That's the ghoul coming out, dude.
But
You gotta fight the ghoul.
I would sit there and say, well, hey, you know what, dude? They're out there, they're making money, they're contributing to society and culture, and it doesn't
Yeah.
matter whether or not you think it's in the right way or the good way or what's good or
Yeah,
bad
but
for culture is that they exist, and that's
I
good.
yeah, but that's not an argument for anything. I'm just saying that I disagree with their style of commentary. That's it. Like, and I can
Oh
have the
yeah, you can
opinion,
disagree. No,
and
I
I can
know.
have the opinion that I do think, in a broad sense, it is culturally negative because of what it reinforces in people, and it teaches them,
Well, what does it
teaches people,
reinforce? You're not making a good argument for what it
people
reinforces.
making bad faith arguments, being emotionally driven, shifting perspectives on things, not like being completely honest about it, whether intentionally or not intentionally.
But
So
that's the
it
thing I
just
don't understand.
creates just
I
creates people that are kind of slightly have weird dishonesty about them. That's
I'm
all.
not saying that they don't. I
And
don't know. I just can't think of a time when I've ever seen that.
well,
Like
like
as far as them being dishonest about stuff.
on the other side of the equation, so they made a remake of the slasher movie Black Christmas.
Right.
Came out Christmas time. It bombed.
Okay.
But there's a whole cabal of film critics
Right.
that everybody hated the movie at first. Everybody agreed it was stupid, it was bad, and then one or two, critics in their early 20s, two girls, basically said, in summation, that they wrote articles saying that this movie would have been really important to me when I was like 14, so we should
Yeah.
give it a pass, and we should actually try to change our reviews and get the movie. So
And it
try to
worked.
get people to see the theater. It got people to change the conversation. It didn't get
Mhm.
people into the theater because, like you said, like at the end of the day, people are going to go see what they want to see, or
Right.
whatever, something seems attractive to them or not. And but what I'm saying is, but it infected the whole conversation. And if you said you thought the movie was bad, suddenly people are getting called sexist and misogynists and rape apologists for not liking Black Christmas. There's a guy who's I know you're not going to know who he is, but his name is Joe Bob Briggs, or that's his kind of stage handle. And he's like a famous dude in the genre community. He's been a writer since the 70s. Have you ever seen the movie Casino?
Yeah.
You remember the dumb guy that he fires that's like the floor manager?
Yeah.
That's Joe Bob Briggs. But he's like kind of just a staple in the genre filmmaking and stuff like that, as a critic and also as a participant. And he got pilloried by like his own peers for
Mhm.
just thinking the movie was bad. He had the opinion that when the director said this is a feminist movie, he's like, why say it? Like, if the movie is that, just let people go see the movie. The subtext will speak for itself. If you're trying to sell your movie that way, that's a bad idea. And he got
Okay.
pilloried for it because these people had shifted the conversation in the interim.
Okay.
So it's just,
But
I'm
how is that
just,
not good?
what's not good?
That's
That-
great. That
that-
happened. That's
why
fantastic.
Why is that good?
Because you know about it. You have a conversation about it now that changes your perspective on the views of the far left or whatever those people are complaining.
I would have had that opinion whether or not they pilloried somebody for it.
Okay, but
What
then what's the point? Then you're
So-
not. But,
no, but
it doesn't matter, Sean. They should be able to go. They are not doing anything terrible. They're not doing anything terrible by saying that shit. Changing, moving the needle. That's what their job is.
And I'm allowed to have the opinion that I think that's bad. I think it's a bad thing for film culture in general, art culture in general, because it's making people dictate how they make art based on what these like little fucking assholes with their keyboards are going to do.
I think it's
sucks,
always
dude.
been that way, dude. Like, what are you
You're-
talking? It's always been that way.
How? Okay, 1980s. Do you think it was
Sure.
that way? The 90s. Do you think
Well,
it was that
what
way?
we're
Give me
talking
a
about
break.
as far as what? As
The
far
kind
as
of
as
thing-
far as feminism, those types of things, or like the way that the society of or the people that reviewed movies didn't have impacts on the movies and how it was viewed.
Not in the
It's
same way,
always
no.
I completely disagree because people would not go see a movie based off of a recommendation from a review critic.
Yes, they did.
And
Often.
I would do that too. And so
But
like, they can
that's
shift
what
the
That's what I'm not saying that they haven't always been able to shift the needle one way or the other. What I'm saying is, it used to be a lot more honest, and they would review a movie on its own merits rather than what they wanted it to be.
maybe.
That is a difference of culture. That is a difference of perspective that has happened in the past, I would say, 10 years.
Okay, but like that doesn't mean it's a bad thing. That
I
doesn't
think it's
mean
a bad thing.
it's
That's
not
my-
a bad thing because then you have all the people who are still reviewing the movie the right way.
Those people can't get jobs in those industries because it's nepotism. It's incestuous. All these people know each other. They all live in like 3 cities, and
Don't go
they
see the
literally.
movie. It won't matter.
I'm not talking about people who see them. I'm talking about critics.
Yeah, but
And
that's what I'm saying. Then, like, if someone can create, someone like the Quartering or these other guys create that environment to where they have almost 1 million subscribers or whatever, where they can go out and give their honest opinion of the movie, how they feel.
sure,
Or you have like Joe Blow video, guy like he gives. I feel like really like on YouTube. I think a lot of people watch
yeah,
those views
not
because
everybody's
they're.
the same. Yeah, sure.
But that's my point, is that it still has reach. There are still people out there that, yeah, maybe you're not working for the New York Times or any of those fucking bullshit fucking newspapers that no one reads anymore, that no one truly gives a shit. They only listen to each other. And when you go on Rotten Tomatoes and you see a critic score of fucking 50 and then a fucking audience score of 99, kind of like with Dave Chappelle, didn't matter. It
Yeah, but
didn't affect anything.
But even that's kind of doesn't matter because it's fucking. People are just going to go and give it a positive review just to do it because they feel like they have to, whether they actually like it or not. So it doesn't really matter.
So it's good because then people can't trust either side. Can't trust it. You have to go experience it for yourself.
Yeah, but
And
that's
you
not
have to go out there.
But that's not the narrative that's pushed, even by that dichotomy. And you just said that. I mean, you just brought that up because you were trying to say that audiences will support and gravitate towards the things they want, regardless of what critics say. But if if that rating is actually not a real reflection, then what does it matter? And people
Well,
don't.
I'm not saying that you're being too general. I'm just saying I sometimes will look at reviews for movies and go, hey, that looks like an interesting movie. I should maybe check it out. It seems like it's got really good audience score. It's got a super high, score. Like I've watched movies based off like that. Yeah, I got nothing to watch. I'll check it out. Or, go vice versa. There's this, maybe some guy on the internet talking about how he loved this movie, and I'm like, well, he recommended that movie I liked last time. I just think that's how people work. I think it's the extremes on either side that are the ones getting worked up, and that's good. But those are good for culture because those people will attack each other, and everybody else in the middle can go fucking enjoy a movie and not worry about it.
I think that it slowly erodes things over time. It doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't change things overnight. It just is a way of like accepting a point of view and shifting what is normal or acceptable or what people expect from something. And that happens over time. It doesn't happen right away. It could be 20 years from now.
Hold on a second. This might be the VA. Hold on. Hello? Hello?
This is Bernie Sanders.
Okay.
I need you help one more time. No, I'm not suggesting that they shouldn't exist or they don't have the right to do what they do. I wish it wasn't so incestuous and there wasn't so much nepotism on the left side of it in terms of the mainstream culture critics because it's just there's no diversity of opinion. Everybody mostly gets in line and just agrees with each other. It's annoying. As a person that not necessarily cares as much anymore, but I love that stuff. I enjoy it. Like I am a movie fan. I am a fan of good movie criticism. So I enjoy that. I enjoy that stuff. That's why I do this podcast. Like,
we can sit there all day and say that, before it was violence and it was before it was about feminism and these anti-violence people, just like with Quentin Tarantino and being brought on TV and this woman tries to bring him down, right? Or whatever. But you can go to the critics that you enjoy, I only look at like maybe 2 critics. I personally, I actually enjoy their critiques of movies. So, I mean, it just comes down to what you buy into. Do you think that most people are like smart? Yes. I think you give way more, you got to have way more, belief in people that aren't going to go spend their hard-earned money just because the left tells them to, or the right, or whoever, these ideologies. I don't think most people work like that because if that was true, then most people would have went and saw fucking Harley Quinn and would have fucking made $100 million.
Well, the Harley Quinn thing has nothing to do with it. Has to do with brand recognition and maybe that the Harley Quinn movie might not actually be as popular as people thought she was.
There we go. I mean, okay, but that doesn't mean that the narrative won't be spun by the left that this is done because of men or whatever.
Sure, and then it becomes insidious because it's kind of like the wage gap thing. Just won't go away because why? Because people in certain circles that control the narratives keep bringing it up, keep saying that it exists in the way that they say it does. And But that's the same. But that's what I'm just saying. It is just the same way of just misinforming people and making people feel buying into bad faith arguments.
When you are giving your opinion and it's not fact, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but people don't. When they read things, there's an assumed authority, and that's because people just happen to, I don't know, they just believe whatever they read. People are kind of gullible.
But they've always been that way.
I'm not suggesting that they aren't. That's why I'm saying it's kind of a. I mean, I was kind of being hyperbolic when I said that most people are stupid. What I'm saying is most people just aren't gonna question it. They're just gonna be like, okay, that must be true.
Or they just don't give a shit either way, and they go watch a movie because they want to watch a movie.
It's not. You're like very hyper focused on the movie thing. It's just like it is a cultural conversation because it is part of the culture, and now they have a bigger place in culture through things like because Marvel is so big.
It's ebbs and flows, dude. It goes up and down. It doesn't matter. Like it just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If you stay focused on the things that you enjoy and you go watch the things you enjoy, it won't matter.
But you made the argument for like why it's important to have the other.
It is.
And stuff. Okay, then why is that important if it doesn't matter?
It's counterculture. You got to have those people that are not like the rest, and if they are getting popular attention, that will drive away from the popular opinion of Hollywood because they see their fucking bottom line being hurt, and it's
but you're saying that people don't give a shit about that, and it doesn't matter.
I'm not saying a lot of people do, but it's enough to move the needle a little bit in a direction. And when it comes to Hollywood, which one's going to be more beneficial financially for us? Well, we can see that this trend is not working. So we need to go back off on this so that, and yeah, they look at statistics, they look at data, they look at the subscriber counts of these types of accounts and to see what
it would happen. It would just happen regardless. I mean, I don't think if they disappeared all these people tomorrow, I think you would still see the same kind of box office results. To be honest with you.
Well, and there we go, and that's my point. Is like but I think it's good to have the other side, whether or not they both play a role on each other. And it's important that I've never seen anything necessarily from the quartering that I would say is untruthful or that they are definitely trying to lead you in one direction as far as what their thought process is. But there's definitely nothing that I don't know, man. I just don't think like that when I'm watching that stuff. I'm like, oh no, man. Like, oh man. Like I agree with that, So I don't.
Well, you just said that you watch them sometimes to have confirmation bias because you want to hear people that you find agreeable.
Yeah, it's called sometimes, not all the time. But I go there because I want to laugh. I want to be entertained. That's why they exist. That's why they make money. It's entertaining. It's the same thing. And like
I'm not trying to be a jerk or anything. I'm really not. I'm just trying to get it straight here. Like I don't really understand what you're arguing against me on. I'm
not arguing against you. I'm saying they're good. They're good for culture. They're different perspectives, different viewpoints. More speech is always better than and then limited speech. Always allow those things and those extremes to exist. We need them to exist because then we know they're there. And a person with a thought in their head can go, I'm on YouTube. I'm going to watch this for entertainment purposes. I don't go to Tim Pool because I feel like I'm getting 100% factual information. I enjoy his personal opinion on some things. And I will listen to him talk about certain subjects and not other subjects. And it's the same reason. Why do people go to Joe Rogan? It's not because, like, some people think he's a misogynistic right-wing pig. But he's not. Because you just go there and you watch and you do it for entertainment. And that's it. YouTube is entertainment. That's why it makes money. And I say it's good to have every argument under the sun.
Yeah, but
because that's what makes it happen.
Do you think... I mean, I feel like just, like, saying that it's just... because it's entertainment is like this weird non-argument about it's like that can still have an effect on people and things.
Not my fucking problem.
No one is suggesting that it is. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
You're saying it's a problem. You're saying it's not good.
No, I'm saying it can. Obviously, if it makes a bunch of fucking mongoloids on either side that don't know what they're talking about and that make, like I said, bad faith arguments or like shift things in a weird way to make a point that actually doesn't exist, then I think that's a bad thing. Like I think it's a bad thing, like we were talking about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, people coming and having the opinion that like if you don't have enough lines, that means you weren't respected.
And did it affect the movie? Did it affect how many people went and saw it? Did it affect?
That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying.
But it doesn't matter. People will go there to get entertained.
I'm talking a much broader conversation than whether or not people go see a movie.
I think it's a dumb conversation because I like everyone to have their opinion, and I think it's great, and I think it's excellent, and that's what we should want. We should need that. That is, you don't want to. I mean, whether it's good or bad.
So you're gonna insult me and say that I'm being stupid, but you can't come out and say it. Well, Dan, like you're just keep saying the same thing over and over again and talking past the point. Like, I mean, it's not the point that they can or can't exist. It's okay to be like, you should guard yourself against that, or maybe it's not great to only, to engage with material that way for anybody.
Sure.
Be smarter than that. Be better than that.
Right.
That's all I'm saying.
I just don't think it was. I don't know. Hey, sure. You engage with what you want to engage with. That's it. That's just the way I view it, And I think it's good to have every side heard. And I don't think it's bad. I just don't. I don't have to agree with anybody. That's just me.
No, you don't have to agree with anybody. You don't.
And that's all I've been saying. Is it's good for.
Well, you kept saying the same thing that doesn't have anything to do with what I was talking about. Like,
well,
just
for you, it doesn't have anything to do with it.
No,
but
just
for me, it
these
does.
things don't have like a larger, broader cultural context and a history that you can look back on and see how people have been shift because of
literally
media
sounds
landscape.
That sounds like white supremacy talk. That's like the same shit people say about white supremacy and white privilege or male privilege. Yes, it's the same concept. Like, look through the history. Look about how all this stuff. Like, no, listen, dude.
Suggest that media does not have an effect on culture at large.
I never said it does. Or doesn't. I never said it does or doesn't. I'm saying let people choose. And people, I don't think, are stupid enough to sit there and go watch a video, your majority of people, and automatically think that way. And if they do, they do. But I don't think most people are like that. Unfortunately, I would hope not anyway.
You don't think people can get into a vacuum of thought because they just watch the same things over and over again?
Absolutely.
And it affects how they go about their daily lives and how they interact and communicate with other people.
That's their choice.
I can advocate for a better way to do that, or to say that I don't think that's a good thing.
No, I never. But that's not what you were advocating for, in my opinion. That's not the way you made it sound, anyway.
Well, in your opinion, what is my argument?
No, that was what I was trying to get clear. You're saying that they're not good for culture.
I do think they have a negative cultural influence. Yes.
I don't think so. I don't think it's negative. All sides, even if there is some negative reactions that come from that side, it's all positive because everyone is getting their voice heard. I don't have to agree with every statement that is said, or for me, I want to hear it. I want to hear what they say. I want to hear their opinions. I think it's good. And if that creates an echo chamber because that's all they do, that's their problem. That's not mine. Again,
not talking about a person on an individual level. Like, it's not what I'm talking about. But
well, I guess I just don't.
Can agree to disagree, I guess.
Yeah.
That's fine. We don't have to agree. Well, that was fun. Thanks for listening, everybody. That was a good, interesting conversation, and I guess we can let the audience see if they have any thoughts. If you guys got any thoughts and opinions on the conversation we had, or about the movie or whatever, just throw some comments down below the video. We're video people now. We're real YouTubers. We're basically just the people we were talking about.
Yeah.
And so thanks for listening, everybody. Make sure to check us out on Facebook at Zoobox Podcast, also on Instagram, YouTube. We're on YouTube. If you're listening to the audio side of this, thank you. I appreciate it. If you listen to it on iTunes, why don't you drop us a review? Tell the people, give us 5 stars. Tell people that you love us.
Absolutely.
I'd appreciate it. I would very much appreciate it. Okay, everybody. Signing off.